hello again, and we're here to have a conversation with another one of our award winners this year. And this one is a very interesting one, and certainly as we look towards Bologna and our annual conference, this is a highly, highly relevant award. And this is the Corporate Initiative Award. And this year it's been awarded to the Hong Kong Environmental Protection Department for their development of a very innovative environmental database, which we're going to talk a little bit more about with Clara and Danny, who were very heavily involved in developing this system. Congratulations on the award to you. It's really nice to see, I think, a recognition of technology where that's going, integrating with impact assessment. And obviously, it's very much the subject of what the annual conference is. So let's sort of kick it off with, can you explain a little bit about, the origins of the project? How did we how did you end up with this project?
Okay. Okay, maybe a little bit introduce myself. My name is Clara. I'm currently working for the Hong Kong Government Environmental Protection Department. Okay, it starts with that. My duty, basically, I have to implement we have an environmental law, we call it IAIA ordinance in Hong Kong, which actually govern all the projects, like big projects, small projects, the environmental performance in Hong Kong. And we have this ordinance back in 1997. That was quite a long time ago. So in starting probably 2021, that the Hong Kong government decided to streamline some of the ordinances. And in order to, we're not talking about expedite the project, but the way we should implement the project in a more effective manner. So we are looking at the IAIA ordinance, whether there are ways to streamline it, as well as to enhancing the sort of professional integrity. So it started in 2021 that we revised, it's kind of like streamlining the process, okay? And we're looking at how, of course, the time, we really want to complete the IAIA of a shorter time, okay? Of course, how you engage the legislator as well as the other concerned party, the Green Group, to buy in that we are going to streamline the EI process. And of course, public engagement is also a very important element. So we make it clear, making sure to everyone that we are not going to jeopardize the period for public consultation. So how can we shorten the time? All right. It started with that because it's a golden opportunities, because in Hong Kong government that time, we actually quite encouraging sharing the common data, sharing the data among all the government departments within Hong Kong, like the planning department data, the lands department data, as well as the cultural heritage impact assessment data. Yeah. So that time, we make use of this golden opportunity, and then we have lots of EIA being done and lots of data there. So we decided to digitize it and make it into a nice platform so that we can share the data with all the stakeholders as well as the project proponent. And it definitely worked to streamline, at least for the screening and scoping side. All right. So we just started with that, probably 50 or 60 layers of data, containing the ecology code baseline data, air quality baseline data, blah, 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 stuff like this. And we input into the platform, and, it just, with a little bit of the brain from Danny and other contractor consultant, and we actually make it a very interesting tool to help a wide range of stakeholders to understand the EIA process as well as streamlining process. It took us basically, 9 months to build out the platform.
And in terms of going forward, any proposals that have to do EIAs going forward, do they have to use this database now, or is it obligatory, or is that optional? How does that work?
Okay, now it's not a statutory requirement, because the purpose of having this platform is that we really want to tell the people that the data is all available, and we kind of like a kind of incentive to ask them to use it in order to streamline the whole EIA process. This is the whole purpose of that. And that's why it's not mandatory, but it is like more or less of like we're using this tool to engage a legislator to support us to streamline the whole process, and it works.
But some, I mean, some of the key benefits, I've looked a little bit at the system, and this baseline data establishment, it's a really interesting premise. Now, is that kept up to date? So air quality, water quality, how has that process work?
Well, I'll leave it to Danny to explain a little bit of like, no, this is basically the key challenge.
Yes. Actually, it's one of the key challenges to in developing the database because, as you all know, the environmental information changes constantly, and we need to update the habitat maps to reflect the ecological changes, and also we need to revise the pollutional inventory frequently to represent the latest baseline condition for computer modelings. So to ensure timely update, we have actually implemented various API connection and auto programming interface with the data owners as far as possible, so that if there is any updates in the data owner system, and that will be synchronized to our HKE automatically. But of course, there are some other data sets that require manual update. For example, some of the boundary of some country park, they do the authority do not have actually a system to update this data layer. But the good thing is that this data layer did not require very frequent update, maybe once every 2 years or whatsoever. So we have established a protocol to review and update these manual data sets at least once a year.
No,
that's what we have done.
It's a very interesting process, because obviously there's a lot of jurisdictions around the world looking at this simplification, boosting efficiency, cutting timelines. So, I'm very interested as to what that process is. And obviously you've got some advantages in Hong Kong, given that, it's a defined area, if you will. You've got a contained space, very much sort of defined. But how does then that work as you get up to Shenzhen and Guangdong? Is it, where you get border, and cross-border issues on whether that's, pollution or traffic or whatever it is there ultimately a way of then linking into systems that might develop there?
Okay, that's a good question, because I have been like, we have been working very closely with our neighbor provinces, what we call it in China, Shenzhen and whatever. We call it Great Bay Area, okay? And I have been promoting this platform for them as well. And actually I got another award from another company in mainland China, because all the stakeholder find it very useful. That's why I'm actually engaging all the stakeholder as well as the government official from Shenzhen. And I was kind of promoting that if they are with their data, they are willing to share, we can just use this platform to share. So I'm looking at a very positive way to future cooperation with Shenzhen to make the other part of our neighbor area, just to make the data more fruitful, including the cost boundary issue. But of course, I do understand. I mean, they might have under issue of the data confidentiality, and then that has to be it does need a bit of effort to work it out in mainland China.
And I was also interested in the documents that you have on the system. That you've got some estimates as to time savings and how more quickly the EIAs can be taken in. But there's a fascinating reference that you make to how AI and modeling developments may be sort of introduced into the system. And do you want to talk a bit more about that, where you see that potential as to what the future lies ahead for EIAs in this world? Easy one.
Danny, go ahead. You will be taking over this.
Okay. For my personally, actually, I believe that AI will undoubtedly be transforming the AI practice in the coming few years. But personally, I see AI strategy as a decision supporting tool rather than a replacement for human expertise, because the EIA process, in fact, relies on many professional judgment, whether in evaluating the ecological significance or balancing stakeholder interests whatsoever. But what AI offers us is a very powerful capacity to enhance our work, our daily work, or some repetitive tasks. For example, help us to processing vast amounts of data sets, maybe help us to monitor the biodiversity through image or sound recognition, or even generating hundreds of mitigated design alternatives in minutes. So, but ultimately, we need human specialists to make the final decision to determine which solution is the best in terms of sustainability. So, I believe the future of the EIA lies in this partnership, where AI handles heavy data processing and repetitive tasks, while human experts focusing on higher value analysis and innovative solutions.
I think that's very well said. Sorry, Clara, go on.
No, I just will add one point, because before the interview, I just talked to Danny regarding. I just want to share one good opportunity using the AI is how to handle public comment and during the public consultation period. I was thinking, because our EIA report is so scientifically based, as you say, and not a lot of people understand what is now in it. So I was thinking, if we can develop using a DeepSeek or whatever other model, we can just upload the whole EIA report, or maybe public can use it and just press a button to generate a PowerPoint, so that they can easily understand what is the project is about. And I did try it. I mean, and to answer some of the public inquiry, making reference to the EIA report, and it works perfectly well. The AI can help me to identify where in the EIA report it addresses that public concern, and it does save a lot of time. And then I can use another time to do a better public engagement thing. So
no, I think that's a very fair comment. I think that communication aspect is absolutely vital. That we have public accountability for what we're doing as professionals. And I think the other thing maybe is what I look forward to is this auditing, if you will. How do we look back at some of the assumptions that we made on projects, in say 2, 5 years time, whatever the time frame, and look at how accurate that was. I think sometimes we haven't been as rigorous in terms of looking at the assumptions and maybe improving our decision making that way as well. And I'm sure that AI or really data management advances can help us in that.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's a good idea. Definitely.
Well, look, that is a brilliant introduction. I'm sure there will be many, many more questions and interest in this. I know that you're going to be in Bologna, and the system is available for people to look at. I think there's an awful lot of positive developments here that people should be looking at in whichever jurisdiction. So Danny and Clara, thank you very much for your time today, and congratulations again on the award.
Thank you so much. Thank you.